Welcome, everyone. We appreciate you taking time out of your morning to join us in this webinar, and we hope that it's going to be of value to you. Just to introduce myself, I'll be your host today. The host meaning I'm just guiding the session. I'm definitely not the subject matter expert, but I'm the face and I'm the smile. So welcome to our BEE compliance and reporting session. I'm going to quickly give our presenters an opportunity to introduce themselves as well. I think, Courtney, everyone knows you, but might as well. We might have some newcomers here as well. So I think, Courtney, maybe we can start with you, then Janet, over to you, and Emma. I just want to quickly explain. Janet will be our main presenter today, and then she'll be supported by Emmarentia, who's also representing CTU. PropAcademy is a part of CTU as the group company, so that's why we collaborate often in webinars. So for what it's worth, just keep that in mind. But I think, Courtney, let's do a quick introduction from your side.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. My name is Courtney from PropAcademy. For those who have not met me before, this is me right over here. We run an online training faculty which is called PropAcademy. It's a part of CTU, as Colleen explained, which is all your real estate courses. You can start them online, you can finish them online, you register at any time. What we've noticed is there's a lot of questions around the PPRA, and when they release these notices, you know, what does this notice mean? What does that notice mean? How must we comply? So this is why we've started these webinars where we bring people like Janice Alexander, who was actually the founder of PropAcademy, to share her knowledge on certain topics so that we can help you guys with your questions and get you started on compliance. Okay, so I'm just going to hand over to Janet.
Thank you. Janet, your introduction, please. Just remember to unmute. It's a typical webinar problem we're always going to have.
Thank you for that. Hi, everyone. I'm Janet. I am representing Property Principal Services. We are a compliance-based company. What we do is make sure that agencies and agents within that agency are compliant with the PPRA and with FIC. So I'm coming here today not as an accredited SANAS provider, but as someone who is absolutely passionate about compliance, and I want to talk to you about BEE as from an agent to an agent, you know, so we can just get on the ground level and know exactly where we're going.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Janet. Emma, also just an introduction from your side.
Good morning, everybody. I'm moving the day ahead here. Good morning, everybody. It's awesome being with you guys today. Janet is the expert. She's going to give us all the information. I will be helping you guys in the background. I'm the National Skills Development Manager for CTU. So when it comes to the skills development space, that's where I play, and that's where I've got my knowledge that I will give you some backup today. But Janet, we know and we can't wait to hear all the information that you're going to hand over to us today.
So, all righty. So I think we can jump right into it. Janet, I'm going to get started with our topics. So the first thing that we're going to go into is just the overview of BEE within the PPRA. So there's been a lot of confusion in the property industry, with the PPRA recently ruling that all estate agency firms must be BEE compliant, meaning that they must achieve a minimum BEE score. Can you explain this a little bit? Just unmute, please.
I think I should keep it on unmute.
Yes.
Yeah, you can stay unmuted.
Okay, of course I can help here. So basically, what had happened, and I'm just going to start from grassroots, if you are unaware of what has happened recently, is in the beginning of the year, the PPRA decided that the word in the act or in the regulation that said we had to have a valid BEE certificate, they construed it as a compliant BEE certificate, which changed the ball game completely for the real estate industry. So if you look at the word compliant, that means that everyone would have had to comply. And those that could not comply because they could not get their BEE rating up, they would, when they came in 2025 to renew their FFC, which remember it's a rolling FFC over a 3-year period, the 2025s would have come up and they would not have had their FFCs renewed. Now, if you look at the fact that there's 6,200 approximately agencies, and of them about 4,000 do not have to be B-BBEE compliant because they are under the 2.5 million bracket, but that leaves you with about 2.5 million agencies and agents within those agencies that would all lose their FFCs. And then we have to say a huge thank you, and that really goes to Booysen. They got their teeth into this problem. They went to the BEE, they took a legal stance on it, and they got the BEE to rectify it and to admit that the word valid does not construe compliance. Now that changed everything back, and these poor agents have been running around in circles, spending money on accredited SANAS representation and attorneys, trying to find out how they can keep their business alive. So a lot of people lost a lot of money, but the good news is that Booysen came to the rescue, and we thank them for that. If you earn less than 2.5 million turnover in your agency for that year, you do not need a BEE certificate. But if you are under 10, between 2.5 and 10, yes, you are going to need an affidavit. You still don't need a BEE certificate. So you'll need an affidavit which you can present. Now, a lot of people might think, gee, we want to get a BEE rating and we want to get more government contracts and we want to be part of this transformation within the industry. Just remember to look at how much money you're earning in your business and what the cost of this is going to be before you just do your homework properly before you move on. So we're looking at an SMME business, which is very valuable on the scorecard. They qualify under the QSE qualifying small enterprise. Now, if you are SMME and you have a black ownership of more than 50%, so you're 51% black, you automatically become a level 2. So you don't have to go through the rigmaroles of all of the other ratings that you should be doing. Okay. And then obviously if you're 100% black owned, you are automatically a level 1. And then we get your other levels with your generic business, which earn more than 50 million per annum. At this stage, I'd like people, just so that we can see who we're talking to at the moment and how we can help you. If you are SMME, won't you just pop SMME into the chat group so that we can just see how many of our audience belong in that group, and then maybe I could spend more time on that. Okay. Now you asked about the accredited agency, SANAS. SANAS is a South African national accreditation system. Now, SANAS will issue, they are authorized to issue you with your certificate, and you need that certificate when you are going to apply for government contracts, when you're tendering for government development or something of that order.
All right. And then reporting is, of course, the start of compliance. Can you explain what is entailed in reporting and why is it important to the real estate industry?
You know what, the whole BEE thing is very important to the real estate agency. Yes, we've been given a loophole, but we should really comply. I'd like to go through the scorecard with you. Courtney, would you please put the scorecard up? Okay, everyone. So here we can see that we've got here 5 sectors to the scorecard. And your first one is being ownership. Okay. And black ownership is critical, very critical, and it's weighted very, very heavily in the BEE scorecard, and especially black women. So just bear that in mind. Now, what they also look at in your scoring is management control. So how many Black people have you got in your management? And in as much as you've got them in your management, how many Black people have you got across the board filling up various departments in your company? You can't, you've got to weight it correctly when you're planning it. Skills development. We must upskill Black employees. It's extremely important in all aspects. And what you should be doing is looking at your agency and seeing where you've got a shortfall, and from there go and upskill Black employees. Okay, enterprise and supplier development. Very, very important. And this is weighted, guys. So you must support people who are supporting BEE, preferably Black women owned. There we go again. What are all, and your service providers, especially if you're a managing agent of something or something like that, look at your service providers. Are they BEE compliant? Have they got a Black weighting? Okay. And another thing I'd like to say is, as an agent, our boss in the field is our client, okay? But you've got to think of your service provider as also being your client, and you've got to give them the same respect. Right, let's move on to socio-economic development. Do you contribute towards projects that benefit Black communities? So you could be donating into a fund or something of that order in order to get your points. And your employment equity is, I've spoken about before, your representation throughout the agency. Court, you can take the slide down now. Okay, so what we are saying is, why is BEE reporting crucial for your estate agency firm? And remember, I'm talking about all of your specializations. So if you do not have BEE rating, you're not going to get contracts and you're not going to get tenders from government, okay? When you do have a good BEE rating, all of a sudden the market opens up to you and you're able to grow your business more. Your brand becomes valuable because now you have a level 2 or a level 1. Wow, your brand is huge. It's also regulatory requirements. You know, all of a sudden you can be excluded from achieving something that you need to achieve to improve your business. And then, of course, transformation, your corporate citizenship. We all have to contribute towards transformation.
Absolutely. So maybe we can discuss SETA compliance as well. Can you elaborate on the importance of the workplace skills plan? I know Emma has called it a swear word in the past, the workplace skills plan, and the annual training report. And obviously a lot of us know them for the abbreviations, the WSP or the ATR.
I think most academics only use abbreviations.
Yeah.
I know, I found it very confusing. So your workplace, which means I'm not an academic, which means your workplace skill plan. Okay, so that document is a forward-looking document. So that is the document that you're going to complete. And remember, if you're looking for grants from SETA, you need to put these documents in place. So with this forward-looking document, you're going to have a look at your agency and you're going to identify gaps within that agency that you need to fill with knowledge skill, okay? And so you're going to have to put training initiatives in place. You're going to have a goal in place, and you're going to have a very, very clear plan of how you're going to deal with this in your agency. And then with your ATR, come on, let me throw that in. I feel a bit better now.
Yes.
Annual training report. With that, you're going to, now that is what you've done. Okay, so that's a backwards looking report. So now you're going to put that report together. And remember, when you're putting your application in with Services SETA, they're going to have a look at your forward report, which is your WSP, and your backward, which is your ATR, and they're going to compare that you actually achieved what you were meaning to achieve in the prior year. So that is very, very important. But if you are going to be looking for discretionary grants within the SETA, it's very important that these forms are completed correctly and regularly. Okay, there's two types of grants in the SETA. You've got your mandatory and you've got your discretionary grant. Your mandatory grant is where you fund it. You fund a portion, you fund the grant. Your discretionary grant is where you have paid skills levy. If you have, you're only obligated to if you're earning a payroll of 500 per annum, and then the SARS automatically take the 1% off of it, and with that they it's used towards your SETAs so that you can train staff and give free training.
I think before I go on to the next question, Janet, I just want to remind our audience, you are welcome to start posting your questions in the chat. Please use the chat instead of the Q&A as we try to put everything in the same place and everyone can then see. You're welcome to start posting questions that you have. We will address them at the end of the session. So just keep that in mind. I just wanted to remind our audience. Then we can quickly move on to the next topic of discussion. So this would be about how would a principal property practitioner apply for bursaries for their staff? How does that work?
Okay, it's a lot of paperwork. It really is a lot of paperwork. The Emmarentia will be there with me, and it's huge. Okay, so but it's a good thing to do. You know, just by applying to the SETAs for your grants, your BEE scorecard goes up, your rating goes up. You know, the government starts looking at you. You're helping towards transformation in the industry, and it's just the right thing to do. And we all know that any type of help we can get towards paying for education is great. So what you would do is you would apply and register with the SETA as a stakeholder. Your agency would register, okay? And once you've registered, and Emmarentia knows much more than I know here, so please chip if you need to. Once you're registered, you need to check what grants SETA have got available, okay? And then ID what you want and then apply for that grant. And remember, by applying for 100 bursaries, you're probably going to get a handful if you're lucky, but you've got to go ahead and try and do it for your staff. And you apply for the grant using those two documents that we've just discussed, okay? And remember, you don't have to be a skills levy contributor to apply as well. We in the industry, and this industry does need a lot of training because it's quite new if you take it against all the other professions that are around there. And then, so what will happen is the SETA will award you the contract and they will pay you, and you in turn will pay PropAcademy for the training. You may want to employ PropAcademy to do a bit more than training, i.e. look after your administration as well. And I won't go into that. Maybe you can, Emmarentia.
Yes, I'll jump in here, and I just want to backtrack a little bit. I just want to tell everybody, you know, Janet, you showed us the scorecard on the previous slide, and I think if I can put it this way, the easiest points to accumulate towards your BEE score rating is the skills development part. It's an easy 20 points, and in your industry, the absorption of those students can award you an extra 5 points. So for 25 points, it's a very easy way to do your skills development. And under that is your bursaries. Now, I mean, if you are getting funding from the SETA or from any funds, wherever we get the funding from, and you've got the funding to do that qualifications for your staff or for unemployed people, you know, we grow the market, and it's not out of your back pocket. It's actually funds that you receive. So that is where you will then apply, and like Janet said, you will then appoint someone like PropAcademy, me. And from the day that you appoint us to run the project, that vicious paperwork that Janet's referring to, 90% of that can be covered by us. All the reporting to your SETAs, all the feedback forms, all the enrollment forms that is needed. PropAcademy can then assist you with that. And like I said, it's the easiest way to get 20 points onto your scorecard. So it's definitely a good investment to look at bursaries and learnerships and those skills programs.
Absolutely. Jan, do you want to add anything to that point still?
No, I can't top that.
Fantastic. Well, that leads us to our next ladies, and that is, what are the principles of broad-based Black economic empowerment? Obviously, again, we're not using the abbreviation here, we're saying the real thing. And how do they affect the property industry?
Okay, so BEE is a South African government policy, and it was designed to advance economic participation for previously disadvantaged people, primarily Black South Africans. So that is what it was put in place for, and we all know why, and we're not going to debate that or go into that. It is how it is. And the principles are basically, firstly, which we've already discussed, is the ownership, the management control. So remember, throughout that agency, and right at the end, I'm going to give you a very good example of an agency in South Africa that has applied this. Your skills development, as Emmarentia has said to you, and remember, it also includes supplier development, and this is something that agencies out there do. They do uplift their suppliers and help their suppliers. If their suppliers are unable to perform correctly, they need assistance, as long as they are a Black small company. Okay, and your socioeconomic development as well falls under skills development, where you can really help there. And we all know that these were all of these were put in place to address the past inequalities and to encourage businesses to create opportunities for Black people through employment and through training and through ownership.
All right. And then maybe can you explain how BEE is measured using the scorecard approach?
Sure. Courtney, will you please put up the scorecard again?
Yes, sure. I'll go back to the first one, the scorecard for you.
Take your time.
Oh, thank you very much. Have a sip of water.
Again, just reminding our audience, you're welcome to post your questions in the chat. Questions are specifically going to be answered by the end of the session. I saw a few people posted in Q&A. Please try and copy your answer or your questions to the chat specifically. Unless it is a private question, that's fine. But we want to keep everything in the chat. All right. Sorry, Jan, over to you again.
No problem. So here we're basically going through what we've been through, which is your ownership being 25%, which measures the level of Black ownership in the business. Your management control measures the level of Black individuals in management positions on the board. So that's what it is, not throughout, just in management, okay? And on a board. And then your skills development assesses the investment in training and the development of Black employees. Your enterprise and supplier development measures contributions to Black-owned businesses. And procurement from empowerment suppliers. Okay, so if you're taking on a supplier, take on a BEE supplier. Your socio-economic development, and there you're talking about contributions towards improving the socio-economic conditions of Black communities. Okay, Courtney, that's great, thank you. You can take that slide down. Okay.
No problem.
Court, what I'd like you to do now, please, is put up the BEE recognition level scorecard.
No problem, Jan.
Thank
I'm
you.
on it.
So a higher BEE level gives businesses better opportunities, especially if you're looking for government contracts. Okay, so now you have this scorecard in front of you, which is your BEE recognition level. And remember, everyone, if you're not spending money with a SANAS accredited provider and you're not needing to get your BEE points up, you're not going to be really focusing on this for your business, but you're going to be focusing on it overall for the environment. Okay, so here you can see your levels, one being the highest, and then your non-compliant. And remember, your number one is if you're a fully owned black company, you don't need any other points. You are automatically level 1 and automatically level 2 if you are 51% or more. Thank you, Courtney. You can take that down now.
Right, and then what are the critical areas businesses should focus on? I think you guys have mentioned it here or there, but perhaps even if it's just a repeat, what are the critical areas that businesses can focus on for points allocation?
Okay, so if I can be very rude and just say I hadn't finished answering the previous question.
Of course you may.
Okay, so Courtney, I'd like you to put up another chart, please, the generic business enterprise with the QSE companies on it. Okay, so here we are looking at generic and QSE companies. So the generic companies are your companies that are earning your 50 million per annum. And your QSE companies are where you are sitting between your 10 and 50. And this is your average scoring on your maximum points. So this is how you would get your scoring up. Okay, these forms, these documents can be found everywhere. You'll find them on the PropAcademy blog. You'll find them on our industry news. You'll find them on Google. Okay, and so your allocation ones that you're going for, you are going for skills where you're getting, as Emmarentia said, you're getting your points for your skills. Remember, your ownership is 25 points. Even more than that, your enterprise and your supplier development, very, very important, is 40%, is 40 points. Okay, and once again, it just opens the doors. Courtney, you can take that down now. Thank you. I'm now ready for the next question.
All right, I think you did at least cover the question I did ask so prematurely, which was the critical areas was ownership and enterprise and supply development is where they can at least get started. And then, of course, the skills development aspect. But then we can move into the next one, which I think the audience would love to know. What are some practical strategies that estate agency firms can implement to improve their BEE compliance?
Okay, very, very important. Okay, so what is happening in South Africa by these BEE scoring cards is government is sending a very strong message. And that strong message is transformation must be taken seriously. And they've put these strategies in place to make sure this happens. So as an agent, you should be concentrating on making sure you have a BEE partner, a black partner. Okay, very important. Please have a look at it. And with your black partner as well, that you're not giving away your shares, you're selling shares. Try and do it over a 9-year period. Don't make it longer than that, otherwise you're going to start losing points on your scoreboard. But get a black partner into your business. Okay, you also need to ensure you are training your staff. Remember, you've got Courtney on tap. So just give her a shout and let her help you get those bursaries. If you want mandatory bursaries, Courtney works very closely with Emmarentia, and honestly, guys, they can sort all of that out for you. So as an agent, you need to be directing...
Sorry, Janet. Sorry, I'm jumping in here. I just wanted to add there, what you said is very valid. It's not just unemployed. Remember, your staff, you can do employed learnerships and bursaries. So it's not just for the unemployed market. You do employed stuff, and then you can still accumulate your points on your skills development portion of it. And for your suppliers fund, just to one step back as well, that supplier development that you referred to, you know, you can accumulate a full 10 points out of your 40 points in that portion if you invest in upskilling your suppliers. So something to think about. It's a lot of points that you can accumulate.
And Emmarentia, how would you invest in your suppliers like that? Would you be investing funds, or what would you be doing?
Yes. So what you will do is, for instance, an example, we've got a company where they offered bursaries to their suppliers' staff. So they awarded the funding. They were awarded the funding and they gave it to their suppliers to give to their employees and their employees' children to do qualifications. So they could study in that manner.
And the qualifications are not limited to any industry, is that correct?
No, so it's not limited to any industry. So it can be in any field. Obviously, you guys will want to upskill in your department, your industry. But yes, if it's your supplier, say for instance, your IT supplier that looks after your computers, for instance, if they want to invest in IT upskilling, by all means, it can be done because there's an MOU between all the SETAs. So it's doable.
So therefore, you could be applying as a stakeholder to the SETA, and you could be having a look at what they offer. And if it's not in real estate, you don't have to burst into tears as us agents normally do. But you could actually think of another way of doing it.
Of course, yes. And you will see also with the SETA grants that they award, very specifically in most of the SETAs, they add ICT as one of the programs, because you're looking at scarce and critical skills in South Africa. And that's normally where they award the funding to as well. So you can go out of the borders of just the property market.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Thank you for that. Okay, so basically you need to be on this BEE, you need to be directing your suppliers should be BEE. You need to be increasing your Black ownership. You need to have diverse management, and you need to be developing skills throughout your agency. And then obviously you're always looking at your socio-economic advantages that you can tap into.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. And then I do believe this is our closing question or discussion point. Can you share some real life examples where effective BEE strategies have led to significant business improvements, specifically in the property arena?
Yes, I can. And it's been quite an eye-opener as well. I'm only going to mention 3 people, and I actually don't even like mentioning people because somebody will say, well, why didn't you mention me? You know, but this is how it rolls. And the first one I look at is Pam Golding. And I think they were almost the forerunners in going ahead and promoting Black ownership. And by doing that, they achieved a high rating. And by doing that, it opened doors to government partner projects. You know, they were involved in the public sector in housing developments, and they wouldn't have got that if they hadn't have taken that leap forward. It opened the doors also to new BEE partnerships, because remember, if someone is building a huge development and they are a BEE company and they need a BEE representation, and we will look at what Pam Golding's done, they're going to call in somebody like that. Okay, so that's the one benefit. Another example, and this goes to Growth Point. Their stance on BEE was taking their suppliers and developing them into BEE entities. Okay, so they would go and partner with a Black-owned service provider. And they focused heavily on enterprise and supplier development. They partnered with Black-owned contractors, and they invested in these Black-owned businesses, giving these people opportunities to grow, which they would never have had if they hadn't have been taken under the wing of Growth Point. And so in return, Growth Point has a huge public image as a company that is committed to transformation. So well done to them. Another one I'd like to mention in another avenue is JHI. And JHI went off to the skills development and the mentoring, and they targeted these two and their programs for Black employees. So they offered training and leadership development opportunities within their agencies. I think they are they're not a franchise, they're a one agent group, they're branches. So this contributed to their BEE score, and it gave them more skilled and a more motivated workplace. So therefore, obviously, you get higher productivity. And then they got an increase in market share after they had finished the strategy, or not finished it, it's ongoing. Everything we do is ongoing. They also had a mentorship program for Black real estate entrepreneurs. And we all know how important mentoring is, and how hard it is for real estate mentors who are working and selling and renting and whatever they're doing to try and mentor an intern in their agency. So that this was really, that they really reached out there. So this is just 3 examples of how effective BEE strategies can be, not just to boost your compliance, but it leads to additional business, okay? It leads to government contracts, cost savings through new partnerships. So in South Africa, it is our responsibility as estate agents or property practitioners to use Black-owned companies who comply with BEE, okay? Preferably small ones, and preferably Black-owned women ones, okay? I'm looking at our screen now, and I think we're very women-orientated, so I should hit on this while I have the chance. Okay, so by supporting your Black-owned suppliers to grow their business and become more sustainable and create entrepreneurs who in turn will create jobs. And that's what South Africa needs right now. They need jobs, and they need a better workforce, because we all know we need a better workforce. We won't go into that. So we've got to support the skills program, and we've got to support our country.
Can I add something on that as well, Janet? Courtney said I must just explain a little bit more about the point system as well. Remember, every entity or every leg of the scorecard that Janet's reflected on the screen previously, you need about 100, 110 points to be a level 1, and then it goes down, obviously, to the levels 2, 3, and 4 and downwards. For you to accomplish a level 2 and a 1, you're going to have to get points. You have to accumulate points in each sector of your generic scorecard. Otherwise, you won't reach your target points. Your Black-owned portion is definitely one of the important ones, especially if you want to go into your tenders and your government contracts. You will be awarded that if you are on your 1 and 2. And like I said, to achieve your 1 and 2, you need to be compliant in all the sectors of your BEE scorecard. And that's why you can't just do one sector. You can't just do training, or you can't just do skills development, or you can't just do your Black-owned company. You have to look across the scorecard to accumulate your points, and that is how the point system will work.
Thanks for that, Emma.
Okay, I hope that clarifies some of the questions that we have here. Thanks, Emma. Please keep chipping in.
All right.
Okay,
Sorry.
So basically, yes. So I think basically from me, I must just say that we are not an accredited SANAS agency. We are coming in from the ground as an agent, trying to simplify the process of BEE.
Yes. All right, I think that does lead to the portion of the Q&A discussion. I know that several questions have been posted already. Courtney, are there specific questions that you would like our speakers to address? I think you've been paying attention to them quite a bit since we started.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Emma, I know you've just had that little chat, but can you define, well, can you explain how is black defined?
So it is a person of color. Some of the scorecards still see your Asian groups, your other cultures as black, but it depends on your scorecard for your industry, if it's very specific. So on your generic scorecard, you can still have a person of color, and that is seen as black. But a lot of your industries are now going to, it has to be a black African female or a male. So obviously with your 51% black owned company, your if it's a female, you're going to achieve your 51% a lot quicker. If
Okay.
that answer,
Yeah, I think that definitely helps. Thank you. And then I have a question here for Janet. Just remember you are muted, so you'll have to unmute. So this is a good day. Thank you for your information. I just want to confirm, to renew the entity FFC certificate with the PPRA, we can now supply them with an affidavit confirming BEE non-compliance. This is a question. Then the certificate will still be issued.
Emma, do you want to take that one? Basically, you don't need a BEE certificate if your turnover is less than 2.5. If it's 2.5 or to 10, you need an affidavit. It is a set affidavit. You can find it on Google in any form, or you can email me and I'll send you one. It's janet@principalservices.co.za, and I'll pop you one. That has to be completed.
Correct.
Yeah, I think the answer is yes, you are correct, because if you're supplying the affidavit to the PPRA saying that you're non-compliant and they've now said that that is now acceptable, then yes, you will get your certificates. And if you need documentation, to ask Janet. She will get the documentation from the PPRA for you if she doesn't already have it. Okay. Let's have a look now. Who will qualify for grants or bursaries? Does gender, race, etc. apply?
Shall I take that question?
Yes, please.
Okay. So your application for your bursary, the grants that you get, is mostly through your SETA, sometimes your National Skills Fund. So just in a quick explanation, so the funding that gets given by National Skills Fund and the SETA, it's that 1% that SARS accumulates from your salary bill more than 500,000 per year. That money gets taken and it gets 20% goes to National Skills Fund, 8% goes to your SETAs. That is where you can apply as a, if you've got a skills levy number with your SETA, the services SETA, and you don't need to pay that 1%, you can still apply. If your salary bill is underneath 500,000 per year, you can still apply to the SETA to become a levy paying client or a stakeholder to the SETA. Then you will be able to, on the two grants that they offer, is your discretionary grant, which opens once a year. They give you an opportunity to apply for the funding. And your mandatory grant is when you fill in your the swear word, the WSP, the Workplace Skills Plan, and the annual training report. That gets submitted in April. So you can also apply for a smaller amount of bursaries, because that's a smaller amount of money that you can claim back. But it is dependent if you want to look at your ETI in your company, which means how many black people, how many white people, and in what areas, management, mid-management, and employees at the bottom. It also forms a ratio on that. So the SETA will tell you, you need to give bursaries to mostly black people and maybe one person with disability. So that ratio gets described by the SETA in the SLA that they give you. But for funded learning, you will be looking, if it's for unemployed people, I can tell you now, you will be looking at black, previously disadvantaged people, where you will, for your employed person, you can look across the board. It doesn't matter what race you are, because it's employed people. And just to refer to that, I see Graham Cock, you asked a question about if I give my director a bursary, will that count? Yes, it will. You upskilling your staff is employed, it will count as a bursary as well.
Okay, excellent. Thanks. I see you're also good at multitasking. You're checking out others to answer here. So thanks, Emma. Is it a must to renew the BEE certificate annually?
Yes, you do get your, you have to update it regularly, or once a year. It's only valid, especially your affidavit, it's only valid for a year. So it's exactly the same as your tax certificate. Everything must be reviewed or renewed annually.
Okay, excellent. I just don't want, some of the questions aren't duplicated, so I'm just nearly at the end here. If your agency is over the affidavit threshold, would you need to submit a non-compliance certificate?
Janet, my answer is going to be yes, because if you're over the limit, then you're going to have to do a BEE compliance. And I think then you're not going to be compliant if you submit your certificate or not a certificate.
Well, your certificate is going to show the state of your compliance, whether it's not compliant or compliant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I think this is a duplication from Rassi, but BEE certificate required from all property practitioners when applying for an FFC is required to be valid, but not necessarily compliant in terms of the application legislation. Does this mean an actual certificate showing non-compliance or a BEE affidavit?
Wow. Can you repeat that slowly?
I can repeat it again. So BEE certificates required from all property practitioners when applying for an FFC is required to be valid, but not necessarily compliant in terms of the application legislation.
Can I stop you there?
Yes.
Every agent does not, or every property practitioner doesn't put their BEE certificate in, only if you're a sole proprietor. Otherwise, it would be the entity that's putting it in.
Okay. So what they're saying is that it's required to be valid, but not necessarily compliant in terms of the application legislation.
Correct.
So does this mean an actual certificate showing non-compliance, or must it be a BEE affidavit?
Your affidavit is only applicable if your agency is earning between 2.5 and 10 per annum turnover.
Okay, so then I hope that helps, Rassi. If it doesn't, and if you want to rather chat to us about this question to explain it better to us, I have put Janet's details in the block here for you. And also, if Charlotte can just put my details, you're welcome to send some more queries our way. Absolutely. And then we can address them one-on-one, which we do at all of our events, because we find it a lot more applicable and easier to understand what it is exactly that you're asking. Last question here is a skills levy number. How do we obtain one? I'm a Black woman principal working alone.
So like I said, you apply to your services SETA, because that's the industry-specific market that you fall under. So you can apply with your services SETA for a skills levy number, even if you do not have a salary bill of 500,000 and more per annum. So you can still apply for a skills development levy number with your services SETA.
Okay, excellent. Last thing, Emmarentia, I know you just did speak about it. Maybe we can use it as a closing off, just with regards to the different ways of taking your company to a BEE status. It doesn't necessarily, I mean, we were emphasizing that it can be a Black owner. You can get Black ownership involved, but there are other ways to do it, which you did answer for us earlier. But I just think in closing, a lot of the questions did relate to that, and that will help.
Yeah. So I'm just going to recap what I said, and I think that diagram of the BEE scorecard that Janet, that you had up for us, was very good. Courtney, I don't know if you just want to maybe bring that up for us again, just to show the people again. Maybe the explanation will be a little bit easier. But
of course,
basically, there is different sectors that forms part of your BE. As you can see, there's ownership, management, skills development, enterprise development, and social economic development. So for each one, remember your scorecard, your score from 100 plus, actually 110 plus will be a level 1, 100 plus will be a level 2, and then it goes down. So you can see if you add up the points, the 25, the 19, the 20, the 40, and the 5, you'll have to comply to each, or at least a part of each of the areas of your scorecard to reach your 100 points to become your level 1 BEE contributor. So your ownership only counts up to 25 points. So even if you're a 51% owned Black company, you will only accumulate 25 points out of your scorecard. Where your management, if it's Black owned females, you will accumulate another 19 points. Where your skills development, like I said, if you run your skills development portion of it successfully, like you run a bursary, a learnership, then you accumulate points towards that. Because each individual one of those 5 or 6 areas has a subsectors, and you need to comply to the subsectors to build up the points to the 25 or the 19 or the 20 points. And that's why I'm saying you can't just be a Black-owned company or can't just do skills development. That will not give you the compliance for a level 1 or a level 2. It might give you a level 3 or a 4, which is fine. But if you want to go into tenders for in South Africa, you want to do the RFQs and you want to do contracts with your state departments, you're going to need to be at least a level 2 to actually get awarded those contracts.
Okay, that's excellent. Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you, Emma. All right, I'm happy to thank you, Caroline, for posting the image on the group. It's for everyone there.
Yes.
I was getting to it. So I just see there's just 2 more questions. Caroline, is it okay that we address them?
Yes, I think we've got 4 more minutes left, so let's give it a go.
Okay, so the one question was, can you put the scorecard in the chat box? We have done that, so that's sorted. And then how many points do you get for ownership if you are a white-owned company?
So that's also because it's not just the ownership. So if we do a status for the specific part of your scorecard, they will indicate, depending on the amount of people in your company, how many falls under top level, mid level, and entry level management or employees. So that's your ETA. So that is what they look at, the whole scope of your company. You will definitely not accumulate at, I won't say you will go over 50% of your points if you white owned. So
okay,
that's something that you'll need to see your BEE auditor for that, to look at the whole set of your company. It's not just the ownership. You take the owner out and replace them with someone that's of color. That is not the only thing that counts towards that 19 or 20 points that you can accumulate. But you will still get some points towards that score, even if you're a white-owned company.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Emma and Janet. I'm going to hand over to Colleen for closing.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm sure there are more questions. On that note, I'd like to encourage you to reach out to Janet or to Courtney for any additional support. As they've mentioned, they work directly with Emmarentia as well. So if there are any questions that can lead towards more guidance from her side, you will definitely be talking to not just one person in that regard. But I want to say thank you to our audience for taking time out of your morning today to join us. I want to say thank you to our guest speakers, Janet, especially to you and Emmarentia. We really appreciate your knowledge and your guidance. And then, of course, Courtney, for the additional support. We are a team. We operate as a team. I'm very proud to say that as well. So just thank you to our audience. We really hope that you enjoyed the session. We hope you got some value from it. Please browse through the chat if you just want a copy of a few of the points we've shared or the advice we've given. But the recording will be shared. We normally place it on the PropAcademy podcast page on their website, so you can go watch it there, but we will also send it to you on email via a link. So yeah, thank you everyone. I really appreciate you being here, and we hope you have a fantastic Wednesday. We're going to hang on the session for just a few more minutes just to give everyone a chance to say goodbye, but we really appreciate you being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks to Colleen for hosting yet another amazing webinar by PropAcademy and CTU. And yes, we have lots of webinars coming up with, so also if you have webinars or if you have webinar ideas, topics that you're really confused with, we can also bring in some other experts. So Courtney@propacademy.co.za. If you pop me an email, I'll make sure that we keep all of your questions covered. Okay, and thank you so much for joining. It really means a lot to us. I see so much positive feedback. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. I think we're going to close off there now. And as Courtney mentioned, send through your suggestions. We do look at them all. We do make decisions based on that. We're hoping to see you in our next webinars very soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.